Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Nerd of the Third Power, your one-stop shop for all things nerdy and awesome. I'm your host and master of ceremonies, Dr. Gonzo. As I said last week, we're doing something a little different this week. This week, we're doing our first headline show, and basically the point of this experiment is to A, see if this new format makes things easier for all of us in the long run as far as recording goes, and B, also give us a chance to sort of expand our news segment a little bit. Instead of just doing a brief rundown of top stories, we wanted to kind of take a chance to expand our show, do an entire headline show, which gives us more chance to editorialize and talk about the top stories in our respective fields. You know, kind of add a bit more of a personal touch. So like I said, this is a bit of an experiment that we're trying out. We hope you like it. And so with that, take it away, guys.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Multiverse Headlines under our new sort of headline structure, where it's a little bit longer and I could get to talk about a little bit more news in general that's been going on. What has been going on, you might ask? Well, if you've been paying attention to some of the internets, that DC Comics is going through a rebirth. Yes, a rebirth. Now, I know a lot of people might skip this news story or might start rolling their eyes as, well, they've done this before, haven't they? Well, yes, they have. Let's just get that out of the gate right now. But you never know. Every time this sort of happens, you get curious. Even the most cynical people are going to be curious about exactly what's going on. And I realize DC has been sort of an easy target of criticism, and sometimes deserve it, and sometimes not. It's just the way it is. But Rebirth was introduced via online videos before we even really knew what it was. Now we have more of an outline thanks to the Comics Pro Meetup. The Comics Pro Meetup is actually for professional retailers and other objects like that. It seems like they're trying to get this out before the cons start. A lot of different con seasons will be starting up here pretty soon. So now getting this outline out of the way, each con will probably get a little bit more information going forward about what this is and what is exactly going on. By the sounds of it, this is one of Jeff Johns' babies. When we had the DCU, YOU, a lot of the reports were going around that was sort of Dan Didio, maybe a little bit of Jim Lee, trying to put forth the diversity of these characters, the creations, and bringing on different artists and bringing on different writers. Kind of didn't work out as well as they planned it, despite the fact there was actually some really good books and really good stories in there, just no one was really reading them, unfortunately. So now it's sort of Jeff Johns' turn to take it up to another notch, and Rebirth is connected to him in two different ways. He did Green Lantern Rebirth that brought Hal Jordan back from the dead and into the major spotlight, actually making Green Lantern one of the best books available several years ago. And he also did it with Flash Rebirth, which not as successful, but still brought Barry Allen back into the fold, and people still got sort of interested in the Flash for a while, leading up to Flashpoint and then the New 52. So now we're going universe-wide with this, not only character, but universe. This also means that Jeff Johns is going to be stepping out of the Justice League writing book. He's been writing that since the New 52 began, and so we're up to almost 52 issues. Haha, I see that number's popping up again. But after that, it looks like he's going to be stepping down. Now, I don't know if he's going to be writing a different book. Again, we don't know exactly what's going on, but he seems to be taking more personal care, personal interest in a lot of the books going around the universe. He's stepping up and dealing with all of that. So what exactly is going on? What has been announced? Well, we have announced a lot of Rebirth issues coming up, then followed by new number ones. Yes, it's the dreaded new number one again. There was a bit of controversy. There's always going to be a bit of controversy with the new number ones. Marvel's been doing a lot of new number ones after Secret Wars, even before Secret Wars, sort of relaunching books over and over again. That's gotten some criticism, and here now DC following suit. A lot of people maybe not that happy this is happening. But let's go into it right now. So almost all the titles are getting a Rebirth issue are going to follow by a new number one. Now they're sort of separating these out a bit in the different months. I believe it's going to be starting in June, what it's going to start with, and it's going to move through July and then later into the following months. So we're not getting a huge info dump of stuff in the first month, like when the New 52 started. This is going to be spread out a bit. Now, the reason it's probably being spread out a bit is that some issues, a lot of issues, are actually going bi-weekly now. So we ship twice a month. Some people have concerns because bi-monthly books can be good, sometimes are, sometimes aren't. It's kind of funny. I'm drawing parallels to Marvel, because Marvel several years ago, they had several books that were actually shipped twice a month. I think Spider-Man was one of them. I think they've drawn back a little bit on that. So the first Rebirth specials up are Aquaman, Batman, Flash, Green Arrow, Green Lanterns, there's a plural there, Superman, Titans, which is actually a new one, and Wonder Woman. Now, those comics, most of them were actually going to get shipped twice a month now. After the new Rebirth, it's going to go into new number ones. Now, here's the fascinating part is that while that actually will be bi-monthly, the other two bi-monthly comics that are going to start out around the same time is going to be Action Comics and Detective Comics. But instead of getting a new number one issue of those, they're actually going to be renumbered to their original numbers. Action Comics being 957 and Detective Comics being 934. That's interesting. While everything else is getting number ones, those two, the longest running series that they've ever had, get pushed up into, and these are, when I mean like they're real numbers, I mean they're actually counting when these comics were running under the new 52. So the last Action Comics you may have seen might have been 900 and Math is Hard, but they're adding those in it as well. So after that, we move into July. In July, we get another batch of rebirths. Batgirl and the Birds of Prey, Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, the Hellblazer, Justice League, Nightwing, Red Hood, and the Outlaws. Now, only 3 of those are going to be actually shipping twice a month. Hal Jordan, Justice League, and Nightwing. The Nightwing one's sort of interesting because we've had Grayson running around for a while. He got his identity revealed in the Forever Evil spoilers, and then, as such, he took sort of his job as a secret spy that was keeping tabs on metahumans and stuff like that. And actually not that bad of a book. It's actually quite entertaining. But now we have him suddenly coming back as the Nightwing persona. So their big question is, well, how is he going to go back to Nightwing if Nightwing has his identity revealed? Like, how exactly do you put... The phrase everyone loves to use, how do you put the genie back in the bottle? That's the question. We don't know yet. Then new number one's coming out for that, which is going to be shipping just monthly. It's going to be a new Batgirl, Batgirl's Birds of Prey, and Hellblazer, Red Hoods, the Superman, which we don't really know what that means. There is no write-up what the Superman may be. The rumor is possibly a Lex Luthor book. Luthor is going through a major change right now in the big Darkseid war, and it could be his version of a superhero. So it'll be interesting to see if that's in fact a Lex Luthor book or not. And then Titans. And again, Titans is another one that's sort of up in the air, because it's not Teen Titans, but it's just Titans. So you could have issues of, maybe Nightwing will be in there, maybe Starfire also be in there, you never know. Also Red Hood, instead of Red Hood and Arsenal, going back to Red Hood and the Outlaws. So it sounds like he may be getting another group together. Who knows? We'll try to figure that out when it happens. Now, the next set of issues don't come out until fall. That's what he said, fall. So there's no month or months that may be coming out. It's just going to be happening sometime soon. That's Batman Beyond, Blue Beetle, Cyborg, Deathstroke, Earth 2, Suicide Squad, Supergirl, Teen Titans, and Trinity. Those are going to be the Rebirth titles. Then followed up by, the issues coming up afterwards. Some of those are very familiar. Batman Beyond's been running for a while now. Blue Beetle hasn't had a book for a while since the cancellation. He's sort of been jumbled around different places. So he's coming back at the front. Cyborg, who his book actually was going on, I think will reach about, 12 issues, maybe 12 or by the time this new number one hits. Maybe not even 12, maybe only like 8 or 9, because I can't quite remember. Suicide Squad, with the new Suicide Squad movie coming out, obviously they're going to have a book out. They've been pushing that pretty hard. Supergirl, the fact that she hasn't had a title now since the debut of the CBS show has a lot been a travesty, some people said. There has been a digital comic released of the Supergirl TV show, which you can pick up on Comixology, I believe. So now they're going to have a fresh book. The number ones are going to be shipping bi-monthly. That one's Cyborg, Deathstroke, Harley Quinn, Justice League of America, and Suicide Squad. So we actually have Justice League again, and now another Justice League of America. But there's no rebirth for Justice League of America yet. We're not again, this is all just number ones. No stories, no solicitations, no creative teams have been put forth on this yet. We don't know which titles will not be continuing from the DC YOU or what will be. We're sort of, it's still in this fresh phase of this slowly leaking out this information to us. The shipping monthly, though, is going to be Batman, Blue Beetle, Earth 2, Gotham Academy staying around, but again, new number one and a new title of next semester. Supergirl. There's a Superwoman and the Super Sons book that is causing a lot of people to sort of raise their eyebrow. There was a fake solicitation of, I believe, the Superwoman one, saying that it was going to be the two Lois Lanes, the Lois Lane of New 52 and Lois Lane of Pre-52 were going to be the stars of the book, but turns out that was false, so we still don't know. And we have a new Teen Titans and then a new Trinity. Trinity that, to my knowledge, sounds like it's going to be a book with, obviously Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. This will probably replace, again, we don't know for a fact, but this is a good assumption, replace the Superman/Wonder Woman and the Superman/Batman book. So they're going to be all in one book. And those are going to be shipping monthly. Now, there's still a lot of room in the sort of comics. This is, because remember when the New 52 came out, they had 52 books. This comes out short of that. I think it's like 36, if my math is right. And I'm doing this as a quick count, which is maybe not a lot of titles, but maybe it's just enough titles to keep them sort of afloat, kind of keep them fed, and they can sort of spread out later on. Again, we don't know. With the con season starting up, we'll get more information. The biggest thing is we don't have creators here. We don't know who's on what book, who's writing what, who's drawing what, and that's really going to probably get anyone interested at all. While I know for a fact that, people read based off names, like I'll read Justice League or Batman or Superman just because it's Batman, Superman, and Justice League. Some people are a bit more, well, who's writing it, who's drawing it? I want it to look good, I want it to sound good. So until we get some of those announcements, at least in the solicitations, we're not going to know exactly how things are going or where things are going just yet. All we do know is that Jeff Johns this sounds like one of his pet projects that he's wanted to do for a while. That's just the way I'm going for it. There are a few other rumored books coming in, the possible Legion of Superheroes coming back, or possibly the JSA, the Justice Society of America coming back. Though I wouldn't be shocked if because we have Justice League of America on this list, that might be the Justice Society book. I don't know. Again, I'm going to buy a lot of different views. So, next couple weeks, this is what I'm going to be talking about a lot lately. And the more information I get, the more I'll be able to get into it. Right now, a lot of other people, other companies, they're sort of all going on their wayside. I know Valiant is doing really well, but they haven't announced anything big. Marvel is now pushing out the Civil War 2. That's going to be their next big storyline immediately after Secret Wars has ended, and it doesn't feel fresh in my mind. Also, I don't like the first the first Civil War. So Civil War 2, I'm not looking forward to as well anyway. So that will be another talking point I'll get to later on as I get more information about where that's going and what's that coming to. In the meantime, if anyone has any questions, you have any comments or concerns, please share them down in the comments below. And if you wish, I actually have a Twitter account. If there's a story that you want me to talk about, there's a story you think that is incredibly interesting, I need to take a look at a little bit closer, go ahead and leave a comment. I have a Twitter account. If you want to follow me on the Twitter account and leave messages about a story you might like, go ahead. The Twitter account link will be in the description of this video, but if you want to check it out, it's at BACLEND. That's BACLEND at Backlund. Hope to hear from you guys. Anyway, that's all the time I have on this segment of the podcast and our headlines. True, it was only one headline, but it was a long headline, so please give me some slack on that. And we're still sort of figuring this all out. But that's all the time I have. I'm going to pass it over to my next correspondent, so I'm going to tag out right now. That's me tagging out. All right, see you guys later.
Thank you. Anime scriptwriter Murasawa Chiaki passed away February 19th due to aortic dissection. Murasawa served as scriptwriter and script supervisor for the Gundam Seed series and films and writer for the GPX Cyber Formula Saga series. She usually collaborated with her husband, Fukudo Mitsuo, who was the director for both of the aforementioned series. She was 56. Jumping on the Deadpool success bandwagon, producer Roy Lee told entertainment website Collider that Warner Bros.' Hollywood live-action Death Note film will be rated R. Though the film hasn't officially been greenlit, he's fairly confident production will begin this year. Which, considering they've started casting, I should hope so. Now, whether or not the R rating was planned all along, or if it's taking a cue from Deadpool, R is a surprising rating for Death Note. The anime is rated 15 plus here in the US, and the manga is 16 plus. Now, to be fair, the manga has been banned in several parts of China, and several attempts have been made to ban it here. But it's not really the content itself that's ban-worthy. It's what people are afraid other impressionable people will do after reading and watching it. Nothing in the scope of the anime or manga warrant an R rating, so either the American version will amp up the violence, or it's possible the R rating is to keep kids out of the theater, thereby covering the studio's ass when the parents start complaining. Funimation has taken fan feedback and began announcing when their licenses are going to expire. You know how it is, you keep meaning to buy that one show and then all of a sudden it's disappeared off the shelves and now you can only find it on eBay for $100 more than it used to be. With that in mind, and a huge catalog to keep track of, Funimation began announcing titles that they would be losing. Bacano's home video and streaming licenses expired this month, though most major outlets haven't had a full series set in stock for a while. Your best bet is a convention or getting yourself a region-free DVD player and snagging an international release on Amazon. Darker Than Black Season 1 is also no longer in their hands for either streaming or home video release. You can still find copies of the premium Blu-ray edition on Right Stuff, but the regular copies are no longer in stock. Darker Than Black Season 2 and the OVAs are still licensed by Funimation, so you're okay there. The big news is that they're losing the license for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and the FMA Conqueror of Shambhala film. The home and streaming rights for those will expire March 31st, so get your copies while you still can, because once they're gone. Gone. Interestingly enough, the 2003 FMA series is not at any risk right now. Well, it's only a snippet of news, but Nakayoshi Magazine revealed that Cardcaptor Sakura is getting a new project in celebration of the manga's 20th anniversary. No details yet, but if I had to put money on it, it's probably going to be a manga project rather than an animated one, given that it was Nakayoshi making the reveal and that it's in celebration of the manga's anniversary, so it's going to be a manga. I predict that Clamp will release a 2 or maybe 3 chapter, something short, kind of manga in Nakayoshi later this year. It might be a sequel, it might be something to cross over with one of their current running series, but they might play it safe and stick to the original Cardcaptor universe. If they really wanted to make fans happy, they'd make a much needed prequel about Chloe Reed, but only time will tell. Pied Piper Inc. announced that it has acquired the North American home video rights for the Skip Beat anime. The company plans to run an Indiegogo campaign that will run throughout March to fund the release. They're looking for around $210,000 for the DVD and Blu-ray release, which will include an English dub. If stretch goals are met, the company will bring in notable voice actors, ADR directors, and scriptwriters. Voice actors Mela Lee, Christina V, and Jason C. Miller are producing the dub. Pied Piper has only ever licensed one other title, Time of Eve, which they also crowdfunded. The Skip Beat anime ran from 2008 to 2009, and with the popularity of the manga in the US, it's surprising that the series is only just now making its way over. On the topic of slightly older shows, Fushigi Yugi got scooped up by Crunchyroll.com for streaming in the US, Canada, the UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Iceland, Denmark, and the Netherlands. That includes the full anime series and all of the OVAs. Media Blasters acquired the home video rights sometime after Geneon fell to the wayside, and the series and all the OVAs have been re-released in the last 4 years or so, but they've never actually been available for legal streaming before. Also rescuing old licenses, Discotek once again proves their love for the fans by picking up the rights for Cromartie High School, which was way popular back when ADV released it in the early 2000s. They should have that out with both Japanese and English language tracks sometime in April or May. And Funimation did its own rescuing. They picked up the rights for Hosoda Mamoru's The Girl Who Leapt Through Time animated film. It was originally released by Bandai Entertainment before they too fell to the wayside. Presumably this is just them trying to scoop up more of Hosoda's shows, since they already have the license for Summer Wars and they're releasing The Boy and the Beast in the theaters very soon actually. Now, these last few licenses are interesting because it's rare that anyone outside of Animego or Discotek licenses an older show, but here's Funimation and a pretty unknown company getting themselves into the mix. Crunchyroll's been sporadically licensing some older shows, but now I can't help but wonder if this is a trend. I'm sure older fans appreciate older shows getting licensed, but it wasn't until Discotek came around that this was really a thing. Anime companies always seem to be snapping up the newest shows and fighting piracy by live streaming or next day streaming the latest episodes, and to be honest, there are a lot of fans out there who aren't interested in newer shows. So I wonder if companies are seeing what Discotek has done and now know there's an audience for shows that are more than, 1 or 2 years old. Not everything has to be the latest and greatest. And if the demand is there, well, somebody had better supply it. Anyway, that's all I've got going on in the anime and manga world. Over to you, Dr. Gonzo.
All right, and in this edition of Gonzo's Game Room, our top story of the day, Street Fighter V. The highly anticipated fighting game was released a little over a week ago, and while fans were quite happy with the graphics, the game's mechanics are the highly tuned machine the series has always been known for, other areas of the presentation were somewhat confusing. Players were somewhat surprised at the lack of solo play features released with the game out of the box, as the only playable single-player mode is a survival mode, a series of one-round fights with a moving handicap. There's also a short story mode, a series of short character narratives with an average of 3 fights bookended by anime stills, and that's it. There's no arcade mode, no single fight against the AI. The game is pretty much nothing but player versus player. And while I have no objection to a game focusing on PvP, even the best online Street Fighter player probably wants to wail on the AI in his downtime, to say nothing of people who need to cut their teeth on arcade mode before they can even go online without being laughed at. Like me. The decision to release the game in this state has led to a lot of argument and more than a fair bit of mockery, with the best burn coming from Sony CEO Kaz Hirai, who said on Twitter, and I quote, "Fans have been begging Capcom for a new Street Fighter Alpha, so they released Street Fighter V while it was in Alpha." Now, although Capcom has said they plan to expand the single-player options in a series of free updates over the coming year, the first of which is coming in June, I'm kind of troubled by the precedent that this could set for game development. I mean, here we have what is clearly an unfinished product being sold for a full 60 bones, and nothing but vague promises that the rest of the game is forthcoming. Now, I don't know, maybe Capcom can be called trustworthy on this. I mean, after what they've done with poor Mega Man, I doubt it, but okay, let's give the benefit of the doubt. I mean, yeah, the game is so underdone, Amy's Baking Company tried to feed it to Gordon Ramsay. Spoiler alert, he wasn't too thrilled about it, and he was less enthused about the dessert. But I mean, let's not prejudge. You know, benefit of the doubt. I mean, it's not like Ryu saw it was coming and started shipping out resumes, and that's why he's in Smash Brothers now. But I mean, what happens if Capcom decides the pre-existing sales profits aren't enough to justify adding the promised content? What happens if Capcom comes down on hard times financially and they can't justify releasing the content for free? What happens if, Akuma forbid, they just change their minds? Does that mean the people who shelled out $60 at launch are going to get a portion of their money back for the incomplete game? Or, far more likely, Capcom smokes their money like cigars lit from Zippos fueled by the tears of Mega Man Legends fans. Fun fact, the tears of disappointed game fans is faster lighting and cleaner burning than propane. And what about the message this sends to other game companies? We've already got EA putting out blatantly broken games. Now that the precedent has been set, what's to stop them from going, okay, here's the latest BioWare masterpiece, but we can only finish half of the story mode before Christmas. Now, we might give you the rest of the game if you can convince your friends and family to buy the game too. You know, just take the money from Gamy's wallet. I mean, she's got Alzheimer's, the bitch won't notice. Perhaps these are the mad ramblings of a paranoid madman, but it seems to me that the AAA games industry is becoming less and less incentivized to release full and complete and working games, and more like turning us all into paid beta testers who pay them for the privilege. I mean, for God's sakes, Capcom released a statement on Tuesday that they were, quote, looking into an arcade mode. That's not me paraphrasing, that's the sum total of the statement. An arcade mode. Pause for irony. The game series that created the arcade fighting scene doesn't automatically get an arcade mode anymore. That's like Eggs Benedict without the eggs, Star Wars without the Force, Nickelback without Chad Kroeger. Although, to be fair, that last one would probably be an improvement. And that's all the headlines that we have for our first headline show. We will be back next week for Sonic the Hedgehog's 25th anniversary, where we will be looking at the Blue Blur's history, the ups, the downs, and Sonic 2006. Thank you as always for tuning in. I'm Dr. Gonzo. Taka, play us out.